My name is Rich Fuchs. I am the president of SHPOA, and on behalf of my trustees, I want to thank you all for coming. It's fantastic to be back here in the theater. It's been a couple of years, you know. COVID kind of threw us a loop the last 2 years. The only thing I can say is, for those of you that were here last June and were at our meeting out at the basketball court, it's going to be a lot warmer today in here than it was there last year. I remember the last session. By the last session, even my wife got up and left. She said, "I love you, honey," but it was too cold. So, and oh, by the way, always fascinating to watch people come into these things. And of course, everybody goes toward the back. So for those of you that didn't sit in the front rows, you missed Rich's trick. So my trick is, I always take $5 bills under the seats in the front row. So anybody that sits in the front row gets a $5 bill. But sorry, folks, you're going to have to suffer without it. So, anyway, we got a big agenda today, so I don't want to talk very long. I do want to say a couple of thank yous. This doesn't happen without a lot of work, a lot of hard people. And the people who really put this all together were my trustees. In addition to this meeting, your trustees have done an enormous amount of work this year. Some of the things you probably have seen, if you watch the slides that went by in the intro, you probably saw the bike signs that were our project of the year. Our trustees put a lot of time into working with the borough to get those organized and actually get them up and running. So now on the bike lanes, if you ride, in addition to the bike sign, you'll see safety reminders underneath it, all along the bike lane. That was SHPOA at work, working hand in hand with the borough. There you will be seeing very soon the demonstration of the artificial turf project. I don't know if I said that right. I'm always told, I think I call it artificial turf, and it's supposed to be synthetic turf. Thank you. I knew I'd get something wrong. But the synthetic turf project is close to being up and running. It's going to be up at the borough building. Go see it. It's an opportunity to see what we can do to keep Stone Harbor green, but also to manage our water consumption. Again, a lot of hard work put into that project by the trustees. Our sustainability efforts, you're going to see today's presentation will focus heavily on sustainability. There has been an enormous amount of effort of a lot of our trustees working collaboratively with the borough around the issue of sustainability. Working on improving the beaches, helping to manage the bays, dealing with flooding, dealing with water consumption. So there's been a lot of effort there. For those of you that haven't seen it, make sure you grab a copy of the Sustainable Landscaping brochure. We put this together with the Garden Club, and it's proven to be quite a popular document. So before I move on, let me introduce the trustees for you. If you want to stand, folks, that's great. If you just want to raise your hand, that's fine. So my vice president, Jack Kelleher, who's just walked in. Heidi Yacker is our secretary. Paul Grady is our treasurer. He's the man that takes care of all the money you send us. And Homi Kapadia is the chief information officer. He's the gentleman that works with the committee, keeping all the stuff flowing on. Now, I'm going to read off the names of the trustees. If you're here, folks, please put your hand up. If you're not, that's okay. And I'm going to read them only because last year I screwed up and forgot one of the trustees. And I'm still hearing about it today. So I'm definitely not going to screw up this year. So the trustees are Susan Barrett, Jay Blackman, Cynthia Burton, Beth Ann Greiser, Scott Jardin, Ted Kessner, John Knoll, Joe Maurer, Tony Tenari, Beth Toolin, Kerry Wendell, Jeff Woolery, and Chris Yates. And last but not least, I want to personally issue a special thanks to our council liaison, Councilman Reese Moore, who's sitting here in front. Thank you. Reese attends all of our meetings. All the emails that you send to our contact box, guess where they end up? Most of them are forwarded to Reese. Reese, can you handle this? Reese, can you deal with this? Reese, what do we do? And Reese responds. He works the channels in the borough to try to get you the answers you want. So we're blessed. Reese was a former trustee before he joined council. We're blessed to have him as our council liaison, and fingers crossed we're going to keep him as our council liaison for as long as he's willing to tolerate us. And a couple other special thanks. First, Harbor Square Theater. Harbor Square Theater donates the use of this theater to us twice a year for our 2 members meetings. Very generous. In addition, PJ, who is, I guess, the audiovisual king here, was here before any of us, helping get set up, making sure that everything worked. So very, very generous contribution by Harbor Square Theater. We thank them, and we ask you to patronize them. The refreshments out there, coffee, pastries. Sam Weirman from ID Insurance Agency, again this year has provided sponsorship for that. Sam does this for us for the last number of years. Very generous to Sam. We really appreciate it. I don't know if Sam's here in the audience or not. Don't see him, but please, if you know Sam and you see him on the streets, thank him for his donation and support his work. A couple special ones. So I want to give a shout out to Douglas Candies. For those of you who were here Memorial Day, we participated in the Memorial Day Parade. And we had buckets of little saltwater taffies that we handed out to the kids as we marched through the parade. One of our trustees went to Douglas Candies and intended to purchase, I guess, 5 or 6 2-pound boxes of candy. And when the person waiting on him asked, "What are you buying all the saltwater taffy for?" He told her that we were going to hand it out at the parade. She called her manager over, and the manager said, "Free of charge, it's on us." So thank you, Douglas Candies, for that, and please, again, patronize them with your support. That was very, very generous of them. I want to shout out real quick to the Garden Club. The Garden Club marched with us at the parade. They were actually in front of us, so all the good-looking people were there, and then they had me and a few others behind them. So we did that purposely. We figured that way people would pay attention when we walked past. But again, the Garden Club, I'm going to point out the sustainability brochure. They were actively involved in this with us. Those ladies worked like mad passing these brochures out during the parade. If you were at the parade and you didn't get one of these, it was because you weren't paying attention. So thank you again, Garden Club, for that. Also, thank you to Councilman Krafchick and Councilwoman Gensmer. They walked with us in the parade. And for those of you that don't know, they were both nominated. They won their elections this past Tuesday for nomination for consul, again for this year. And what I was really pleased to see that, because when they marched with us, I was really worried that the association with SHPOA might mean one of them, both of them would lose. But it did happen, so I'm off the hook for now. But thank you both of them for joining us. The museum. We've got a partnership with the museum. For those of you that see and read our Beach Buzzes and many of our other publication things that we put out online, you always see old Stone Harbor pictures, and they are provided to us by the museum. And so they really are a good partner. We've got a great working relationship with them. I ask you to support them. I don't know if any of you have been to the museum recently. It's marvelous. They've done a great job at the museum, and I give them a lot of credit. And also, I would ask you, if you're interested, the museum could use volunteers. They could use people to volunteer to help just watch over things during the day. When you walk into the museum, there usually are a couple of volunteers there. So please support the museum if you can with your time, and certainly support the museum if you go there with your donations. With that, I'm going to move and go very quickly through our agenda. We're going to spend today really focused on the issue of island sustainability. And we're fortunate that we have 2 very, very fine speakers who our sustainability chair, Jeff Woolery, will be talking to about the issues of flooding and beach management. So Mark de Blasio is the borough consulting engineer. Mark was probably, as much as anybody, instrumental in putting together the flood master plan that was released this year. So Mark's going to talk to you about the flood master plan, what it means, and how we're going to try to address the flooding issues here in Stone Harbor. And then secondly, the beach and bay maintenance. Many of you may have seen Doug Gaffney. Doug is a consultant to the borough. He's an expert in beach maintenance. So Doug is going to talk with Jeff about some of the issues regarding the beach. And for those of you that have been to the beach recently, you'll know that Mother Nature was not very kind to us during Mother's Day. So obviously, Mother Nature's children weren't very kind to her on Mother's Day, because that storm really did a lot of damage to the beach. And there's efforts to try to do as much as possible under the constraints that we have. But Doug will talk about both short and long-term efforts at the beach. And then finally, everybody's favorite, the Q&A session that I will moderate with Our Mayor Judith Davies Dunhauer. By the way, Judy, I promise you I'll never misspell your name again. So I misspelled Judy's name in an email, and she wrote back a very funny note that said, I'm used to it. I think I left the E out. It was Davis instead of Davies. And my response to her was very simple. I said, well, I'm an accountant. I'm really good with numbers. And the reason I became an accountant is because I couldn't spell cat. And it's spelled cat with K-A-T. So she forgave me for that. But also Councilman Reese Moore. Reese, again, in addition to being SHPOA liaison, Reese is the Borough Council President this year. And what we've done is I've taken all of the comments that you've sent to us, the questions you've sent to us over the course of the year, and kind of tried to consolidate them into 4 or 5 questions that are sort of topical on the things that you, the members, have been asking us about and asking us for feedback on. So hopefully this discussion will provide a little more insight into some of the issues that are concerned to you. So that's the agenda. In between each session, we will have our raffle. You all have your tickets. Probably the most valuable thing of the day is the opportunity to win a free SHPOA membership. So either 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. So I think our first one is the 1-year membership. Beth, you have it here. Let's take a look. I'm going to ask Jeff to pull it. Right?
The one tape to the bottom?
Okay. So he's got the one tape to the bottom. 066804. White ticket. 066804. If you have it, come see us after the meeting and we'll set you up with a 1-year free membership.